Today we're continuing with graphing, and apparently we need to practice graphing because of our homework. But anyways, today we're going to talk about standard form. Standard formulas allow us to get something that's very important. So just take a look at my sketch right here. Now this is quite obviously not a line. I don't know what this is, but I drew it, so.
Wait, is this
Okay, just pay attention, please. Alright, so here's my sketch. And what I want to point out to you, actually, is these special points right here. Okay, that I'm circling. This is called an x-intercept. As is this, over here on the left. That is also an x-intercept. And right here, that's a y-intercept. Now hopefully it's dawned upon you why they are called that. An x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-axis, no matter whether it's a line or not. A y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. Alright, so let's take a look at my picture. Look up and make sure that you're seeing my picture right here. What do you think the x value is on this y-axis everywhere? Well, let's think about that. What if I give you a point right here? I thought that would be a common sense question. Take a look at this point. What's that point? Give it to me. X comma y.
Which one?
This point right here.
Negative 4, negative 500.
1, 2, 3, 4. So negative 4. Negative 3. Okay, so graduate counting. Alright, so negative 4, negative 3. That's that point right there. Now let me ask my question again about this y-axis. What are the x values? What's that point? What is that?
0, 1.
0, negative 1.
Negative 1.
What's this point right here?
0, negative 5.
Okay, what's this point up here? 0 what?
Positive.
Okay, what's this point that I had circled?
0, 2.
Let me ask my question again. What is the x value everywhere on this axis up and down? 0. Okay, it's not 2, not 3. The x coordinate all up and down, no matter where I am, is what?
0.
Alright, now let's think about the x-axis, these x-intercepts. What's the y value everywhere on this axis?
0.
0. Okay? If I look at this point, that point's negative 4 what? 0. What's this point right here?
2.
2, 0. So a y-intercept happens when x equals 0, and an x-intercept happens when y equals 0. So we're going to be able to do some pretty simple calculations. So let's say I have this equation. 2x plus 5y equals, I don't know, 20. Okay? And I want to know, well, what is the y-intercept? Now, I can, of course, graph that. If I wanted to graph that, what would I need to do first? Okay, I need to get it to slope-intercept form, so yeah, I subtract the 2x, and then what would I do? Divide by 5. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to do that down here, because that's not actually how we're going to do it, but it is an option. So I would subtract the 2x, and then what would I do? Divide by 5, so I get negative 2/5 x plus 4. This is my y-intercept. What's this right here?
Slope.
My slope. Alright, so this is my y-intercept. So what's the y-intercept? 0, 4. Now to get the x-intercept, if I were using this, I would have to graph it. But let's go back up to here. Remember, I said, and we just said on the previous slide, a y-intercept happens when x equals 0, and an x-intercept happens when y equals 0. So if I want to get the y-intercept, Okay, so if I want the y-intercept, I'm going to replace x with 0. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to go 2 times 0 plus 5 times y equals 20. Well, 2 times 0 is 0, right? So that goes away. So I have 5y equals 20. Now I divide by 5 and I get y equals 4. You with me? So what's my y-intercept? Well, 0, 4. Alright, which I expect from my slope. Now, suppose I want my x-intercept from the previous slide. Let's think about that. The x-intercepts always happen when y equals what?
0.
0. So I'm going to replace y with 0. So I have 2x plus 5 times 0 equals 20. Well, what's 5 times 0?
0.
So I have 2x equals 20. X equals 10. So what's my answer? Well, x is 10. What was y?
0.
0. Okay? Let's do 3 more. But do you get what we're doing for x-intercept? Y equals 0. For y-intercept?
X equals 0.
X equals 0. This is like the reverse, right? It's the reverse flash. Here we go. Extra questions, bonus questions. Let's say I have 3x plus 8 equals 4y. And let's do another one. Let's say 2x plus 3y equals negative 24. And one more example. Why not? Negative 2x. Let's get a negative in there. I know how much fun you have with those. Plus 5y equals negative 6. Alright, we're going to find the x and y intercepts. Now, is this slope-intercept form?
No.
No. If I wanted to graph this, I'd have to solve for y, but that's not what I'm asked. So if I want to find the x-intercept, what do I do?
You change the y
To
to
0.
0.
So I have 3x plus 8 equals 4 times 0. Which means 3x plus 8 equals
0.
0. Subtract.
Why are you changing it to 0?
Okay, so back here on my graph, let's just take a look. Okay, each of these are y-intercept. Why are they y-intercepts? Because is where it crosses the y-axis. What does x equal right here?
0.
Okay, what's x equal right here?
0.
What's x equal right here?
0.
A y-intercept happens when x equals 0, which is why we're replacing x with 0. Alright, let's look at the x-intercepts. Here's an x-intercept, here's an x-intercept, here's an x-intercept. Alright, what's y equal right there?
0.
What's y equal right here? What's y equal right here? So an x-intercept happens when y equals 0, which is why we're doing this. So right here, when I'm asked, right here, what am I doing? I'm doing the x-intercept, which means I replace y with 0, which is what we just talked about. So I subtract the 8 right here, finishing this up, and now what? Divide by 3, so negative 8/3. Alright, now let's do the y-intercept. To do the y-intercept, what are we going to do? So x equals 0. So it's going to be 3 times 0 plus 8 equals 4y. Well, 3 times 0 is 0. So 8 equals 4y. Now what? Divide by 4, and y is 2. Now, it's important to note that this is not really the answer, either of these. The x-intercept happens when y equals 0, so it's a point. So I need to make sure I write it as a point. So there's my x-intercept. It's a point. My y-intercept, y is 2, but what was x?
0.
Okay. So let's go right here. I'm going to find my x-intercept. I'm going to find my y-intercept. So x-intercept happens when what?
The y is used to 0.
Yes, and you're going to want to remember that for basically ever, because that comes back in geometry, trigonometry, and not just with lines, but with any equation. And you do it the same way. No matter how complicated it is, you do it the same way. If you want an x-intercept, replace y with 0. You want a y-intercept, replace what with 0?
X.
X. Okay, so I divide by 2 here, get negative 12. What's my answer then? X is negative 12, y was what?
0.
Okay, right here, y-intercept. So I'm going to replace what?
X with 0.
So I get 3y equals negative 24. Divide by 3, get negative 8. That's not my answer. Y is negative 8. What was x?
0.
See, my answer is a point. Okay, go ahead and try the last example on your own. Find the x and y intercept. Okay, when you're done, take a look at your answer, compare it to what's on the board. Are there any questions? Yes? No? All right. We're good? All right.